Work.
Welcome to Whiskey and Whiskers Midweek. This is your host, Chop.
Gator.
Chris.
Blake. And today we're nerding out, right?
Yeah, nerding out on one of the best space franchises in history, Star Wars.
One of the best franchises in history, really.
Yeah, that's fact.
They have great food.
So I'm going to go out right now and say that Star Wars has a giant, fucking ridiculous extended universe that is like hundreds of books, like now, what, 9 movies, or no, probably like 11 movies.
1,000 movies.
2 TV shows.
Card
like
games, board games.
comics, all of it.
and
video games.
It's
That's
1,000
what-
galaxies.
I've been a Star Wars fan
Far,
for
far
a
away.
long time.
Long time ago.
What provoked this was, for the first time, I played a Star Wars game. And I don't mean like, I played like, you know, the video game Jedi Master, or the one, there was one, remember the one back in the day where they fought each other?
Yeah.
That game was dope. I forget the name of it, but it was awesome.
Yeah, they were fighting.
There
each
was
other.
one for N64 that was
Yeah,
really
it was like
good.
Mortal Kombat, but Star Wars. Anyway, this was the first tabletop
Rogue
game
Squadron.
I had ever played of
That one was good.
Star Wars, and it's called X-Wing. And basically, the gist of it is you're flying ships around, and you have templates for like how they move and fly, and you're commanding a dogfight, dude, and you have to get like you're trying to position, and they're trying to position, and you have to get where you can hit them with your cannons, and different ships can do different things. It's really cool.
Yeah, you basically have to like navigate your ship, and then you're trying to get people like in your front arc so that you can fire on them. And
Dude,
then,
I had the
like,
Millennium Falcon. You have to have the Millennium Falcon the first
Yeah.
time you play the
Whiskey
game.
and
I think
Whiskers
it's-
podcast does not condone dogfighting.
Yeah, I thought that shit was illegal, man. And now you're bringing a Falcon into the mix. That's like,
Yeah, Michael Vick, that Falcon, man.
fuck, dude.
Might as well play Bear
I'm
versus
picking the
Gorilla.
Falcons, man. They're not that good.
No, so it's you're flying airplanes around, or
Starships.
starships around,
Yeah.
and
TIE fighters,
and fighting each other.
X-Wings.
Dude, it really is a lot of fun.
Do you pick sides? Like, are you either...
Dude, you can
Yeah.
pick different factions.
You
so
pick
like,
a faction, and then you can build ships and pilots and stuff from there, and then you can give them upgrades and stuff, which I don't think Blake got into necessarily. but-
yeah, I was playing the dumbed down like your
Give him
new
like ion
version.
cannons and fucking.
Oh yeah, shields and shit.
Oh baby.
But even like the way they operate. So I had the Millennium Falcon, and you have to take an action turn to turn the turrets, and then you can shoot like in a plane that direction. So the Millennium Falcon can shoot left and right, or you can take your action turn at the end of your move to turn it the other way, so it shoots forward and backwards. So imagine when you're watching the movie and you got Luke and Han, and they're shooting. You know what I'm saying? And so like the way
the different turrets.
yeah,
and
so
shit,
the way it operates almost reminds you of the way that the ship actually operated. Well, actually, the way the ship actually in real life operated
When they were
in
filming
a
in
movie.
space?
Yeah.
Well, it
Or
gets-
for instance, like I was fighting TIE fighters. So I'm in the Millennium Falcon fighting TIE fighters, and the first time I got one, I was like, I got one! And I ran the dialogue through my head that was like, that's great, kid, don't get cocky, because they're fucking hard to hit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
TIE,
so, like,
TIE fighters
it
are
sticks
hard.
pretty true to it. Like the TIE fighters have really high agility, so whenever you like go to attack them, they have a really high chance of dodging that attack.
Yeah.
Uh,
So when you hit one, it's exciting.
So whose dick did you have to suck to get the Millennium Falcon? Because doesn't everybody
No.
just fight over that one?
No, because it's big and it's
But
It's not agile.
it's not slow.
It
It's
did the
fast,
castle run in 12
but
parsecs, though.
in less than 12 parsecs.
Yeah.
It's hard to turn, and I don't know. It's hard to maneuver.
Does it drive like a truck, kind of?
And it counts as like several ships instead of like the guy I was playing had more ships than I did because I had the Millennium Falcon. You know,
Just surrounded.
so you can have a shit ton of TIE fighters. But that's where I was going to go next. Is like you can play from like many different factions. So there's a faction that's just the Imperials, and there's a faction there's an
Rebels.
entire faction that's the Rebels.
there's Scum and Villainy.
Scum and Villainy, that's the cool one. So there's like a busted ass version of the Millennium Falcon and it's actually a different piece that's got like the engine exhaust, and it's all dirty and shit's
Is it
like
like
the
the-
escape pods shot out of it
Centennial
already.
Falcon, maybe? or?
It's cool. It's different ships. Some of them will work for the Imperialists, and then later they work for what's the new one, the bad guys,
Then First World Order.
the First World Order. Yeah, so the ships kind of cross over a little
They're
bit.
kind
or
of like
whatever.
merchants or whatever. They can kind of pick
So,
and choose and move
but the
around.
Scum and Villainy, that's the one that was like, fuck yeah, this is Star Wars. Like Star Wars is space pirates, and this is like broke down fucking version of the Millennium Falcon.
So we're getting pretty deep into X-wing right now. Let's roll it back.
Okay,
and
yeah,
let's
sorry.
talk about actual
Star Wars.
Star Wars. So I think for right now we're gonna try and keep it to the original trilogy. That's what we're talking about today. That said, there's a lot of things that people know now that were affected or like, you know, play into the original trilogy. So we'll try and keep that to a minimum, but like if some of those things pop in, so be it. But
Did we find out about the incest in the first 3?
what do you mean?
Yeah,
Like with
yeah,
Luke?
no.
Yes,
and
it's
so
revealed for sure.
in
Kissed her
Empire
brother.
Strikes Back, he kisses Leia. Luke kisses Leia. And then in Return of the Jedi, which is the very next movie, you find out that Leia and Luke are sisters.
I just couldn't remember if it was the next
And she's hooking up with Han at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luke's jelly.
But, I mean, I don't know.
Super
I feel
butthurt
like...
about it.
I don't know if they knew that it was going to... So when the first one came out, they obviously didn't know how big it was going to be.
Right.
Man, that's crazy to
And then
think
when the
about.
second one came out, they obviously didn't know that it was going to keep going. Like, they thought that this was going to be the sequel that sucked and it was going to be over.
2 and done.
So they were trying to, like, make the second one more... The first one was, let's make a space movie and see if we can even do it. And then they fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
So then the second one, they were like, let's make it big and epic. And they fucking nailed it. The second... Empire Strikes Back, and I'm saying first, second, third. And,
Right.
and
Yeah.
Just because
reference
how
to
they
these
came out
three.
chronologically. Yeah.
So, in Empire Strikes Back, that's the one where Vader goes, "No, I am your father." That's the
Yeah.
one, dude.
Yeah.
If they never made another Star Wars after that, it still would have been bomb as fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. And then Return of the Jedi, right?
And Return of the Jedi was dope. A lot of people think, and I tend to agree, Empire Strikes Back is better, but that's just, I mean,
Return of the Jedi was a lot of swamp time, right?
Return of the
Didn't he
Jedi
wander
was
around
fun
the
because
swamp
that's when we
forever?
get to see Luke really fucking be a Jedi.
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back is where everything kind of takes a shit, though. Like, that's when the
Yeah.
Empire starts to, like, win. And
Dude, at the end of Empire Strikes Back, you find out that Vader is Luke's dad. Luke gets his hand cut off and drops down the fucking tunnel.
Yeah.
And yeah, at the end of Empire Strikes Back, it's fucked. The
And then they piece
the
out
rebels
for
are
20
losing.
years.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
Can I just say that, like, the way they depict space in that movie is so fucking cool?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
And there was the special effects, dude, and the sound,
For the
dude.
time.
Let's talk about the sound. First of all, the lightsaber.
Yeah.
No one can make that sound, and everyone knows what that sound is.
Yeah.
Like when I say the lightsaber sound, everybody listening knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, and then you go into like Vader's voice, and then the like blasters, and like, dude, everything had a sound that was really, really unique.
Yeah. All the TIE fighters, like,
Uh-huh.
I want to go so far as to say I think Vader is one of the best villains ever. Period.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
I mean, what villain is bigger and more prolific,
Iconic or-
Dude.
than Vader?
he
Joker-
says so
Joker's there.
little, but when he does, it's, like, fucking crazy, man. He's,
There's a little bit of drama around that too. So James Earl Jones voices Vader. Everyone knows that, right?
Yeah.
Simba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am your father.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
But so he was the voice. David Prowse was the figure behind it. He was the man in the suit, and the drama stems from. Prowse says that when he was recording, he didn't know that they weren't going to use his voice. So when the actors in the movie are responding to Vader, they're talking to David Prowse. He's the one speaking.
Oh, wow.
But then he goes to see the movie, and it's James Earl Jones' voice. You never get to see his face. That was a big deal because...
Yes. You.
Nope. Because in Return of the Jedi, they take his helmet off right before he dies.
Oh, yeah.
And they chose to use a different actor for that scene. So the man who played Vader, and I don't care what anybody says, he's Vader. He
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
That the way he walks in is fucking like he walks in like he kicked the door down. Like you remember in the very first one, they cut the thing, and then the stormtroopers
yeah.
come through, and then Vader walks through the fucking mist. Fuck. That's David Prowse is fucking Vader, and the way he like he sticks his hand out and he chokes him, you know.
Yeah.
Or I'm not saying that James Earl Jones wasn't perfect for
Didn't
what he
make
did,
that, yeah.
but I'm saying Prowse is as important.
Yeah.
He's the visual.
Right. He's
Yeah.
and he's also he was a bodybuilder, and he played like his parts before this were like Frankenstein, you know, like I think he played Frankenstein twice. He was always like a monster or something because he's this big weightlifter guy.
Yeah, picking people up in the movie, like one-handed and shit. Like,
So they and I didn't ever realize. I mean, you knew that Vader was like big and bad and imposing, but I never looked at Vader and was like, "Oh my god, he's a giant."
Yeah.
because
He's in the suit.
he's scary.
he's
like,
beyond that. You
right?
Know, like,
yeah,
he's so
you look
so
at him
much
and you're just like,
bigger
dude, he's
than that.
fucking scary.
Yeah.
Like,
His physical size is like tiny
I'll-
compared to what he is as a like presence and stuff. Yeah,
Dude, and no mind choke the shit out of you.
Yeah.
yeah. And then they in the new ones, which we're not going to go into that much, but Hayden Christensen gets in the suit after Obi-Wan fucks him up, right? And dude, Hayden Christensen. As soon as I saw that, I was like, dude, that's a little weenie boy in the fucking Darth Vader suit.
Yeah.
Like that's not Darth Vader.
he's got to grow up a little bit.
Dude,
more.
Darth Vader was fucking big. And
Yeah.
I don't think it ever clicked in my mind that he was a giant until I found that out.
Right.
Like, till I saw this little guy in the Vader suit.
So obviously Vader's super fucking badass. Let's look at the other side. Like Luke obviously is fucking super badass. Yoda was super fucking badass, and then Obi-Wan was super badass.
You
All
don't find
three of
out
them,
that
really.
Yoda's
I think
badass, though, until later.
I think Obi-Wan was the best.
So,
Yoda's old and dying.
all right, I'm gonna bring this all around in just a second. So bear with me here. I'm gonna derail for just a split second. And I want to ask you guys. All right, if you guys have a lightsaber, what color is it gonna be?
Green.
It's gonna be this is kind of a circle jerk, but dude, it's gonna be the same color blue as my motorcycle. That's my favorite color blue.
Blue, green,
red.
Sith. All right.
Easy, bro.
What about orange? Orange would be a dope color for.
So I don't think
pink.
orange technically exists. There's a yellow, which
Oh. Okay.
I'll dabble in
Maybe.
this in just a second. But I think I would lean green. Also, probably.
So purple's my favorite color, like Mace Windu, but I just don't want a purple lightsaber.
Yeah. All right. So here's the thing.
Blake likes purple.
The blue. They all have symbolism. Obviously, the red one is Sith. Like
What's the
evil.
symbology there?
The symbolism. So the red, like, all right, extended universe. Try not to bring this in too much, but there's a crystal that makes up the lightsaber, and the color is based on kind of how you are as a Jedi or a Sith.
Okay.
And the Sith like basically fuck up their crystals and like crack them and make them bleed and shit, and so that's why they turn red.
Okay.
So anyway, that's where the red comes from. The blue is supposed to be the Jedi. Fuck, I forgot their names, but it's basically like their standard warrior. Like they're all around good at everything, but not necessarily good at any one particular
So
thing.
Yoda was green.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get there in just 1 second. Blue is like generally all around good at everything, but not necessarily a master of any one particular thing. They're fucking dope. They're badass. Some of the most insane Jedis have blue.
Obi-Wan was blue, and I think
Yeah.
he's the best.
Now, green is for the consulars, and they're the wisdom people. They're typically the people who are going to be better with like mind tricks and shit like that. Like,
Jedi mind tricks.
yeah,
I think Anakin's was green
so I can't
And
remember
red.
off the top of my head.
and red. Yeah.
But the
All
green
my
typically
friends are
symbolizes
green and
somebody
red.
who's more leaning towards like wisdom and force power more so than like martial prowess. Not to say that they're bad at that, because they're not. But they typically tend to be the leaders and the intelligence and like the wisdom, the people who like promote growth in the Jedi Order and stuff like that, right? So then it gets into a whole bunch of other weird shit with like purple is actually a blend of like people who have used dark powers to try and fight dark powers and shit like that. But that's a whole other boat that doesn't get into the main trilogy that we're talking about. But I was curious what you guys thought about, you know, what your colors would be. So like you said, yours was going to be
Blue.
green, red.
But
and then I
mine's
said
green for
probably
different reasons.
Yeah, and obviously like we're picking favorite colors basically here, but I don't know.
No, because my favorite color is purple.
Purple.
But
And I like blue.
I don't-
honestly. Blue's my favorite color. So.
I don't want a purple lightsaber.
Then I would probably go red.
But it kind of had some cool symbolism because during the original trilogy, Luke originally gets a blue lightsaber, right? Mm-hmm. And so,
But it was his dad's lightsaber, and his dad goes over to a red lightsaber.
right. So Anakin's was blue.
Right.
I want a space.
So he was like okay at shit.
I don't know. When they fought on that volcano planet, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I feel like it was green. I can't remember off the top of my head.
But it wasn't two green lightsabers, was it? When he was fighting Obi-Wan? Damn. See, all these fans are like, y'all are fucking
I
stupid.
thought Obi-Wan
can't
had blue.
Maybe that's what it. Yeah, Anakin has
Qui-Gon,
green.
Qui-Gon had green. Obi-Wan had blue.
Anakin has
Anakin
green.
has green.
So when Anakin and
Yeah.
Obi-Wan are fighting, it's blue and green.
Yeah. So that lightsaber is probably old Ben's then. No, because he still has his. All right. Anyway, we're fucking
Talking
off.
out your ass now, boy.
So
My favorite things from the first 3 movies was the space motorcycles.
Yeah.
So that was cool when they're riding them through the forest.
Yeah. On
And-
Endor.
Return of the Jedi. Yeah.
And the Ewoks.
Yeah.
You're a
But-
Return of the Jedi guy. A lot of people love. I honestly, as a kid, I liked Return of the Jedi the best.
Yeah.
Now I probably like it the least of the original 3, but I love all 3. So that's not like a testament to like I love that movie. I just
want to wrap this back in real quick so it doesn't fall off. But the reason I brought that up was because Yoda has the green lightsaber because obviously he's like ancient wisdom and badass at everything, and he's like
Green.
Yeah, that too. But then in the movies, Luke starts off the blue one, but then he ends up pulling a green one while he's fighting Vader in front of the Emperor.
the Emperor. Yeah.
And then that's when he chops Vader and wins that fight. And then he's
Yeah,
like,
because the first time he fights Vader, he
he's
fights
got
with the blue one.
Yeah. But the second time he fights
And Vader
him-
even says something when they're on, which he has the green one at the beginning of Return of the Jedi,
Mm-hmm.
but it's that same one he fights Vader with at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Right.
And Vader even says, "So I see you've constructed a new lightsaber. It's much like your father's."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see people's transition. Basically, everybody almost always starts with blue unless they show a promise in a certain area or something like that. So it's kind of cool to see the transition that they did then and didn't even realize, like, probably at the time that would go into the whole extended universe of, like, people crafting their own lightsabers and, like, how that affected who they were as a person and shit like that. And it's kind of cool to see that progression of Luke, even though they probably didn't know that at the time.
I don't like who you are as a lightsaber.
So we haven't talked yet about the most important character in the whole movie, Han Solo,
Yeah.
Oh man.
with Chewbacca and the Millennium Falcon, like, as a part of him.
Yeah.
Because, dude, that's the best character. Like, that's my favorite character in the movie. He's not even the main hero of the movie. He just fucking stole the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah, no, seriously, he did. He like took it.
Uh-huh.
I will say that I forgot how fucking badass that Leia was.
Yeah, she was
In the
winner,
original
dude.
trilogy, she's fucking a bad bitch, dude. She doesn't fuck around. She, like, the whole thing is, like, she fucking infiltrates the Death Star and steals the plans for that shit and then puts it in R2-D2 and then they capture her. And
Even
then-
when they're, like, trying to rescue her, she, like, takes the gun and shoots the trash
Uh-huh.
chute, and she's like, someone's got to save our skins.
Yeah, and Han's like, I can't tell if I fucking hate her or if I'm starting to like her.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's a bad bitch. And then Han gets frozen later on, and then she shows up in that badass suit. And
Oh, and she Mexican standoff pulls a bomb out and it's
Yeah.
like, I'll blow us all up, or...
Yeah,
dude.
dude.
Yeah, she goes hard.
She's a fucking bad bitch.
So,
And she was Jabba's slave for a little bit.
when...
That was when that happened. She went to go rescue Han.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I had, the little action figures, the original ones.
Yeah.
And you could find Leia as that character when she goes to Jabba the Hutt's lair.
Oh, yeah.
Slave.
No,
No,
not the
no, no.
slave.
There
was Slave Leia also, but
and
yeah.
stuff.
yeah, when she had the helmet on, that one was everywhere. You get that one anywhere. But her in her white suit, you couldn't find that one. That one was like, that was the one to have. And I found it, bought it, and I had it in like the box, and I never took it out.
Yeah.
And one day, Justin, my little brother, opened it, and I was just like, "Fuck!"
Damn.
Ugh. Little brothers, man.
Yeah. They can be assholes.
Yeah, fuck little brother.
Han was a smuggler.
But the Millennium Falcon, dude. I also, when I was a little kid, I had the Millennium Falcon that had like it opened up, it hinged on the front, so like you could fly it around like a ship. But it was huge. It was like bigger than a frisbee. It was huge. But you could fly it around the house, and then you could set it down and open it up, and it was like remember Mighty Max or whatever? You have the little tiny action figures inside.
Yeah.
That's what it was. But it had the panels in the floor that you could pop
yeah.
out, and the guys could hide in the panels. And it had like, dude, it was
The little
dope.
table that they.
Oh
played the
yeah,
games
they
and shit
played the
on.
games on,
Yeah.
and then it had a turret inside of it that turned and shit. Dude, it was awesome.
Yeah, that's badass.
Man.
I bet that toy's probably worse.
I think
too.
I remember that toy because it would
Uh-huh.
sit on the ground and the little doors fall
Yeah.
down below it and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, man.
So it's kind of a trip for me because, like, so obviously the original trilogy was way before my time.
It was
Like,
before my time too, but they
that's what there was.
in the early '90s they came out with they re-released it, and not even okay.
They digitally remastered
They
it
did,
at one point.
but hold on. They digitally remastered it and they added some bullshit to it. Like they added some CGI scene and some computer animation.
yeah, I
and
remember
shit.
that too. Yeah.
I'm talking about before that.
yeah.
Before that, they did a re-release, and the big selling point was we're gonna take it out of the vault and sell it on Walmart one last time. They kept saying one last time, and I was like, this was way before they had talked about making another Star Wars. You know, they made the original 3 and that was it. And I was like, fuck, dude, I gotta, because I love Star Wars, but that was when I got really into it. And then that was kind of a big hit, so then they remastered it and they added all the scenes in it a couple years later, and then a couple years after that they were like, look, we're releasing new Star Wars movies. And they made that fucking Jar Jar Binks travesty.
Well,
He's
so
kind of the best character out of all those movies, but I don't want to get into that.
here's what I was going into was like, obviously it was way before my time, like way before my time. Even the re-releases were a little bit before my time. But then like I was around whenever they were doing the 1, 2, and 3 trilogy or whatever. And then obviously now they're doing the next ones. But it's hard for me to go back and talk about the original ones without like dipping into everything else, because the thing that grabbed me about Star Wars was not necessarily even like the plot or anything like that. It's just the entire universe is so fucking cool. And they did such a good job of creating that world and that universe that it is like, that's why Star Wars is so prolific. Like,
So I like transcending one lifetime and zooming out a little bit and seeing how there's always a bigger picture. Like Star Wars is a bigger thing than just Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so you have to have everything there to.
So if you watch all the Star Wars, you can see how an otherwise great government can turn tyrannical, and you can see how people could support a system that ends up being something that everybody hates and needs to be rebelled against.
And you can see character arcs where somebody starts off great and then
good and turns bad
and then redeems themselves after that. Like there's giant character arcs across fucking 9 movies.
And there's not a lot of franchises that go that hard. Dude, so they've probably made fucking as many Iron Mans, not really, but as many Avengers movies. Let's do that.
Sure.
They've probably made as many Avengers movies as they have Star Wars.
Yeah.
None of those characters evolve at all.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Star Wars, every one of those characters changes and grows, and the story changes and grows and gets bigger, and I like that. That's what I liked about it, on top of being just a unique universe to get into.
Steven Spielberg, bro.
Yeah, they do such
Steven
an
Spielberg.
incredible job with this. Like,
Wait, no, it's George Lucas.
Yeah.
George Lucas.
Yeah.
They do such an incredible job with just like world building, really is what it is. But it's an entire universe, and like all of the alien species, all of the like. That's what hooked me really. Whenever I got into it, it wasn't necessarily like the 1, 2, and 3 trilogy, and it wasn't the initial trilogy. It was the idea that all of it is like this universe that was so badass. Like, I wanted a lightsaber. I wanted an X-wing. I wanted to go get on an Imperial dreadnought. Like, that shit was cool as fuck. And it wasn't even necessarily like the story arcs that brought me in, but that's what kept me. But
Han Solo, dude, Han Solo is so fucking cool.
Yes, George Lucas and Harrison Ford.
yeah,
And Harrison Ford was not really anybody. I think he was like a carpenter, set builder.
yeah,
And George Lucas was like, you. And then of course he used him in Indiana Jones and was like, oh, Harrison Ford is super famous now.
Yeah.
But Harrison Ford, he stole the show. Mark Hamill was supposed to be the hero, and Harrison Ford was fucking Han Solo, dude.
fucking killed it.
He shoots Greedo at
At the little bar.
yeah.
Yeah.
Han shoots first, dude. I don't give a fuck. Han's a badass.
Yeah, dude.
He's about to get frozen, and Leia's like, "I love you," and he's like, "I know."
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
he's bomb as fuck.
He's a badass.
Dude.
Which kind of brings up, like, all right, so if we're talking just original trilogy, who is your favorite character? I'm guessing yours is Han.
My favorite character, I don't know. Han's the most fun, for sure. I feel like the best written character is Obi-Wan in the whole universe.
Yeah.
I feel like there's an entire story arc to follow there that doesn't get a lot of. He's like the supporting cast, but I feel like they could make an entire movie just about Obi-Wan that would be fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Overall Star Wars or just the first three?
Just the initial trilogy.
What about somebody who made a brief appearance in the first trilogy?
Dude, Obi-Wan sacrificed himself.
But then had more parts later on.
I don't know. Drop it.
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett's cool.
Yeah, Boba Fett. Oh, dude, Boba Fett is cool. He was a bad guy, and people still love him because he was fucking cool.
Just he's a fucking bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
You can't hate anybody in that movie because they're all bad motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I had a Boba Fett action figure that I did open and fucking played with because he was dope.
Yeah.
And I went, dude, it's fucking so stupid. I was in middle school. Who cares? I went to play at lunch or whatever, play time, and I'm out in the playground, and I'm like, I don't want to get Boba Fett taken away. I'm going to hide him under the slide in the rocks, and I'll get him when I come back because the teacher was like, don't fucking play with Boba Fett in class. I'm going to take him away.
Fuck.
Obviously, he wasn't there when I went after school because there's fucking, I didn't think about it, but there's 3 more recesses that are going to hit.
Damn.
And I lost my Boba Fett action figure,
That's fucking brutal.
which is why I hate the world.
Yeah.
God damn it. Dude, but Darth Vader for me, hands down, is the most bad motherfucker.
Darth
Dude,
Vader
he is fucking cool.
As far as the character, yeah,
He's probably the most iconic. You can see him and anybody in the world be like, oh.
not dude. Just a silhouette, and that's why I say Prowse is so important because just a silhouette of Vader is like powerful.
Yeah.
You know, he exudes fucking dominance, and he's scary looking.
Fucking, yeah. It's because he's got that skull face, you know, like.
Well, in his eyes, it's
his
the same
mask
as
is-
the Cool Hand Luke, the man with no eyes. Something about you can't see his eyes. You can't. There's no emotion there. There's no. He doesn't feel bad. He doesn't feel sad or remorse. He's just ice cold and fucking brutal.
Man, I think initial trilogy for me, I think my favorite character is Leia.
Leia's dope.
She's fucking badass.
That's what I was thinking.
She's super fucking cool. She's super fucking hot in that slave outfit. It's ridiculous.
Easy.
Like she was fucking badass. That said, like obviously there's other characters that have a little bit more impact. She still has a huge impact. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I like she just.
She's a winner for sure.
For me, she fucking killed it. Like she was there the whole time. She was doing badass shit. She was like.
And here's to Carrie Fisher, dude.
Yeah,
'cause
for
she was
sure.
a cool chick. She crushed that character. She did it with elegance and grace. Like she made a female character in the 70s that was super hot and also not like a bitch or a fault, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean, a weak ass
Yeah.
character.
Yeah,
she was
pushover.
strong, but she was also hot. She was also relatable. She was like she was realistic, dude. Carrie Fisher nailed that role.
Dude, yeah. Incredible, man. She was so good at it.
So I want to talk about one more thing, and then we'll kind of back down from this. But I feel like we can't talk about Star Wars without bringing up the droids.
C-3PO and R2-D2,
Yeah.
like those two
Yeah, the
specifically.
Because
droids.
the droids are like fucking cell phones.
They were my favorite characters growing up.
So what they tried to do with the new one is with Jar Jar Binks is emulate that.
Right.
It was the comedic relief. C-3PO is the comedic relief. So is
Yeah.
R2-D2 at points.
Right.
But something about R2-D2 and C-3PO felt genuine and honest, and something about Jar Jar Binks felt forced and fucking pandering.
Dude, you can like any fucking room you play that R2D2 beeping noises. Yeah, and they don't go like, oh, what was that beeping? They go like, oh shit, that was Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's whoever did the sound for Star Wars. I mean, that was great.
Yeah,
the
they killed
fucking
it.
jets or the ships flying around,
Yeah.
like that's got its own sound.
Even the music, like in
Dude.
Jabba's
Yeah, the
fucking
music was
palace,
good.
man. It's
Yeah,
different.
we didn't even touch on the music.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not even talking about the soundtrack or like the background music of the movie.
Yeah.
So can I just say, this is just me, but all of you people that like Star Trek better than Star Wars, you're just fucking wrong, and fuck you.
Man, and I've never even seen Star Trek, and I'll get behind that fucking all day long.
Man, I've tried on Star Trek, and it just doesn't do it for me the way Star Wars does.
I don't know.
Like,
The Next Generation is cool, but Star Wars is way
Yeah,
cooler.
Next Generation. I grew up watching that on TV, and like I got into Star Wars for a little bit.
Yeah.
I do like Star Trek. You know, it fits into my nerddom too, but not nearly as much. Like I have
Star Wars is just cooler. It's just cooler. Like Star Trek is a bunch of dudes in suits fucking being square. Star Wars is like dudes with fucking cowboy pistols on their hip, fucking smuggling shit and killing people.
Yeah.
Like,
What about Star Fox?
Also cool. But no,
Never
man,
really
I got 3 main franchises, and like when you nerd out as hard as I do, you kind of got to limit how much you can go into any one particular topic. So like for me, it's Warcraft, Final Fantasy, and then Star Wars. Like that's my 3.
those are dope.
And so for me, like it's fucking like Final Fantasy has its own, like it's all video game and all like semi sci-fi. It goes into the deep fantasy and stuff, and then you have Star Wars that's like high sci-fi but still has like some Western appeal to it and like that kind of thing. And then Warcraft, which is just I don't know, just my nerddom.
Orcs and
which is
Humans
fine.
and Dragons and shit.
Yeah. So, like it's really tough for a franchise to be able to get into that like that deep of a expansive amount of nerddom where you can just be like, how hard do I want to go? How deep down that rabbit hole do I want to fucking follow this? Because it is fucking stupid deep. Like, dude, I watched a 20-minute video today on lightsabers.
Just in mainstream shit, you can go down the Clone Wars, and that's on Netflix. Like that's huge.
What?
That's not deep. That's
Yeah.
right there at the surface level. You can watch all about the Clone Wars.
Yeah. And it's long as fuck.
And that's not even talking about like the fan fiction and the fucking comic books and
Board games and
Dude,
video
Which
games.
now it's a little different because Disney fucking nixed everything as being canon except for like the movies and I think the 2 TV shows are still
fuck
canon.
Disney.
Which I agree.
There's a new
Disney
TV
doesn't
show.
own it. The fans do. I mean,
Right.
Like
But that
we
said,
get to decide what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can be like, oh yeah, the Phantom Menace doesn't. It's not even real. Doesn't
Yeah.
exist.
Shit.
Never happened.
Bullshit.
Don't remember, it didn't happen. But like, you know, even what's canon now is still fucking like 20 hours of content. Like it's so much. And then you go anywhere past that and you start delving into like, oh my God, like there's so much. It's so deep and it's way too deep of a rabbit hole to even fathom, nonetheless try and wrap up into like a little mini episode of a podcast.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool thing. And so if you haven't checked out Star Wars lately, go do it.
And you should also check out our Instagram because I took a bomb ass picture of the miniatures while we were playing X-wing.
Hell yeah.
Shots in space.
It's
Shots in
cool.
space.
It's fucking cool.
It's super cool.
So
Lightspeed.
be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and go check out that post on Instagram. And then when you can listen, hit us up on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, or whatever your favorite podcasting app is. We have new episodes every Monday, and thank you for listening to the midweek.